In 2015's Bone Tomahawk, right, there are three major acts. There's kind of the sleepy western town.
Yes.
Where you're introduced to the main cast and it really establishes its western credentials. And it's incredibly beautiful cinematography and a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Very quaint.
Then they move...
Sleepy.
Post-kidnapping, they then move into the journey to rescue their stolen people.
Yeah, buddy.
And that's when it begins to introduce the sort of peril, the danger, the discomfort, and what I'd call the kind of more grindhousey, exploitative.
Yeah.
Like, look at the horror. Look at this horror right here. Isn't it disgusting?
Exactly.
And then it gets to the cave where it really kind of leans in to, oh my God, we're just off the fucking map now. It goes from like sleepy western to brutal western to this isn't a western anymore, it's a horror.
Yes, buddy. Welcome to exploitation cinema. This is the whole fucking reason we're doing this. My hyper focus, I'm going to introduce you to it slowly with a modern exploitation movie director. We'll get our teeth into this because let me tell you, man, this well goes fucking deep.
What struck me about Bone Tomahawk was there's a real craftsmanship on display in the early parts of the film. The shots are incredibly beautiful. The grading is beautiful.
Stunning.
I don't think I've seen... There are films that lean into beauty. So I just watched Maestro with Bradley Cooper.
I am gasping to see that. Gasping to see it.
It's a very showy film. It's very much like, look at this beauty. Now look at this beauty. The value of this shot is because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Craig Zahler's packing his beauty into shots that are actually functional.
Yes.
Right? So there's an actual establishing shot of a thing where the character is doing a thing and it happens to be beautiful because he can make it beautiful, but it still serves the story. There's a scene early on where a stable boy is killed. And the sheriff, the deputy sheriff...
Great scene.
And a couple of townsfolk have to investigate what's going on and they're sort of crowding around the barn door.
Yeah.
This beautiful white barn door.
Yeah.
And the framing is just incredible.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
It didn't need to be. It didn't need to be incredibly beautiful.
They're inspecting a murder scene and it is genuinely gorgeous to look at.
but I think it's really necessary to where we're going to make where we're going seem as awful as it is.
Yes.
The sort of craftsmanship and the love put into the Western at this stage of the film. If it wasn't there, you just go, oh, it's just a video nasty, like it's some sort of B-movie nonsense. You know, it's a couple of pricks with a video camera in the desert making a cannibal movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Craig Zahler's sort of expertise with the camera and his cinematography being so on point makes everything that happens afterwards legitimate cinema. It's incredible.
The journey's the most important bit. You go from the very quaint thing, the character building, the world building, which is somehow so small, but you get so fucking much from it. You get the whole town dynamic. You get the whole politics behind it. The town's run by the mayor's wife. No one respects the mayor. The sheriff of the town doesn't even fucking acknowledge him as a person. He speaks directly to his wife. It's the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. Ever.
Yeah.
And I saw Nick get turned into a fucking cheese string in this. And I still find that more disrespectful.
I've been the recipient of that dynamic. I went on holiday to Morocco with a very blonde, very chesty girlfriend at the time, and it was a liberal's nightmare because I was caught between being a misogynist and a racist because a local would be misogynist to her, but in a way that was conducive with his culture. So we had a tour guide,
right?
And she would ask him a question and he would listen, look her in the eye and nod, and then he would take a breath, look me in the eye and answer the question without looking at her once. And I was like, just look at her. Just look at her. Please, just look at her. And from his perspective, it was respect to me. And I'm like, no, dude, you need to respect her too. She's fuming and I can't be like...
Yes, mate, thank you for that. I appreciate the respect and the cultural interpretations, but I've got to put up with this bullshit later. You get to say goodbye. All right? 2 hours walking around fucking Morocco bazaars and you're gone. That's it. I'm out of your life forever. You forget we exist. I got to fly home with this shit. And that's your fault. Fuck you.
It was very much like, do I want to be a feminist or a racist? Like,
you're kind of stuck in the
middle. Poison.
You're not involved in any of that, by the way. There's nothing in that makes you in any way the bad guy. You could have just stood there and gone, so what you said was, You know what I mean? I feel like that would have diffused the whole situation. If you then mansplained what the man had mansplained to you instead of answering your girlfriend directly.
Because I'm taking ownership of the misogyny and I'm a white guy, so it would have been fine.
There you go, see?
Yeah, okay,
Morocco
good.
sounds fantastic for a start because that sounds hilarious to watch. Being a part of, I would have been sweating my tits off because I wouldn't know how to handle that situation at all.
It was a warm country.
I would have just frozen up. I'd be like, I didn't fucking ask you the question. Well, what was the question?
The question was, what happens when these guys get on the road to rescue their captives?
Yeah. So
in the film Bone Tomahawk, released 2015,
that's what we're doing.
by Craig Zahler.
Yes. So now we're back from our travel adventures. New segment of the show.
Sorry, did you say new seggy?
New seggy.
I'm not going to bring that up. Just get to the new seggy, Ben.
I'm going to get us back onto this because you've derailed this far too much this episode, and it's quite disrespectful. You're not respecting my time. You're not respecting the listeners' time. So you get the quaint town, the character building, the world building. You get all of this, and you're like, this is a Western. This is a go-to Western. We're off on an adventure to save some locals from kidnapping cave people, right? But it's not just that, because you've had the character dynamics build up so far. So now the loving husband is a fucking man on a mission. Yeah. But the clock strikes gimpy leg, and now he's also a burden to the people that actually just want to fucking get the job done. They're like, look, for fuck's sake, we can do it if you just fuck off. If you stay here, we can just go and do it. And he's like, no, I'm going to fucking come with it. But even then, the sheriff, deputy sheriff, and Broody, whatever his fucking name is, Brooder. That was close.
He's a local ex-military man who's killed an awful lot of the indigenous people population and isn't necessarily proud of having done so, but it certainly isn't ashamed either. No. Definitely isn't ashamed. He's got a chip on his shoulder and is an enthusiastic man of his time, whereas Kurt Russell's perhaps a little bit more reserved,
level-headed
in the sort of realities of the frontier west.
A little bit more liberal.
Brooder, however, is like, let's fucking get them.
Yeah, Brooder's a prick basically. But the journey is these guys. The tensions building, the situation's getting more and more dire until the severity of everything sets in, and they are literally surviving on rations, carrying the only stuff that they can fit on their back. They've had to leave half their shit behind. Patrick Wilson's character, Arthur O'Dwyer, his leg snaps further somehow, even though it's already snapped. It's fucking rancid. Luckily,
he breaks the healing he's done in the time we've seen him.
But now you see bone through the fucking wound. It's not like a deep cut anymore, and it's like, oh, that looks sore.
Is that why the movie's called Bone Tomahawk? It's not. But
no, it's all the bone tomahawks that are in the film. That's why it's called Bone Tomahawk.
All the tomahawks made out of bone.
Yes. Spoilers, but yes. So he snaps his leg more and has to sort of play catch up with the rest of the group. They leave a trail for him wherever they go, whilst tracking these cave people to rescue their friends. It's not just about the characters in the journey. We get an insight into how fucking mean and punishing the landscape is. And in some ways, the most brutal character in this entire film is the Wild West frontier. Because it is awful.
I think Zahler's done it's kind of not old style script writing. It's kind of standard script writing, but it's a standard for a reason, in that you have your act one where you get to know everybody, and then act two, those people go on a journey and you find out more about them when they're put in situations different from their default, right?
Which is great to a point, right? Great to a point. And then out of nowhere, we get the first bit of exploitation the first bit of footage that makes this an exploitation movie, right? Brutal, unforgiving, gore, out of fucking nowhere. Just it's three incidents. Boom, boom, boom. Done. And it happens at such a shocking speed. It is a startling speed. Watching this for the first time, it was literally like a type reaction, right? And it was an involuntary noise, a guttural noise that came from deep within. My soul let this noise out. Limbs come off. fucking bone tomahawks to faces.
Yeah.
Shit
There's a lot
skimming
of meat.
scalps. You know what I mean? And we're only just touching the end of the second act, and it's gone 0 to 1,000 miles an hour, whiplash speed. Insane.
Which is where it stays.
Exactly.
With the exception of one scene, it stays there. When you get to the cave,
yes, buddy,
you get to see more of these sort of cannibal monsters, this cannibal tribe.
Yeah.
I can see why this film is controversial, because
I can see the problems there.
Well, for those that haven't seen it and don't intend to, if you're going to do a Western, it's a very white man centric thing to have your native indigenous people be the villains.
Yes.
When they are the invaded population.
Yes.
You know, we went over as invaders and colonizers, took everything, begged, borrowed, stole, raped, murdered, destroyed our way across the West. And then when they had the audacity to resist, we were like, oh my God, monsters.
Keep using words like we and our, right? And
yeah, man, it was the British that went and settled America.
Not us. Stop. I'm not fucking being wrangled into this, all right? It's problematic. Don't put us in the fucking line of fire, all right? It wasn't me and Rob that did this.
No.
It was a while ago.
The group of people, the group of people to which we belong a long time ago did some fucked up stuff.
Thank you.
If we were to then, as members of the group, the aggressor group, look back on that history and in 2015 go, who really needs to be taken down a peg in that part of history? I know who. The native peoples.
I get what you're saying. I think Zahler tries to cover this. And this isn't defense. This isn't argument. This isn't anything. This is just counterpoint to point. I can see both sides of the coin. I think both sides of the coin are fine. It just depends on where you sit on the field. And whatever your opinion is on this is entirely correct for you. And that's more than acceptable. You know what I mean? That's what this is all about. There's no right or wrong.
But I think the exception is made. You're right.
So back in Bright Hope, he has, when they're trying to figure out what's happened with the kidnapping and who the main suspects are, right? They find an arrow. And Franklin Hunt sends Bruder to go and get the local expert. And the local expert is a native person who then explains, you, white men, would call them Indians. You would call them the same as our people. You wouldn't be able to distinguish them from us. And then,
but we fucking can.
Exactly.
And we fucking hate them.
And the native then goes, these are not representative of our people.
Nothing
They're nothing to do with anything. They're troglodytes.
It's like
they're
us
cave
and Andrew
dwellers.
Tate.
Exactly. Don't lump us in the same fucking boat. You know what I mean?
It's fine.
It's fine.
So there is that there. I think the reason it stuck in so many people's throats is because once you get to the cave and you see these people, once you get to the cave and you see these people, the monstrousness of them is really played up. You know, they've got women there, but the women they've been blinded intentionally. They've had their limbs removed and they're just there lying about pregnant.
Yes.
It kind of implied that they're just used for that purpose.
Yeah.
People are eating. You have the whole cheese string incident. Yeah. This film really kicks off and that's where it switches into the horror.
Yes. This is where you get the brutality.
So to have those two things aligned, I can see where it comes across like, oh, now we meet the antagonists and the antagonists are hideous monsters.
Yeah.
And also this group. Do we need that in 2015? I think it's a fair point.
Yeah, 100% it is.
I do think it's a fair
Definitely.
point. I don't think it's a film-ruiningly fair point.
I also agree. I don't think it is either. I think if this was based in reality and it was a real-life tribe that they were basing the antagonists on, then 1,000% get the fuck off my screen. It's all set in fiction.
Totally.
It's also set in the 1890s. So the tensions and the line of thought from our characters translates.
Has to be
accurate as it can.
Has to be accurate as it can to the time. It would be more racist to have these guys not racist.
I think
if these guys were just like, yay, we love everybody.
Who wants a boba tea?
That's whitewashing.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like,
then it's like, okay, now you're painting over what actually happened and what the attitudes of that population actually were.
Yes.
Show everyone how ugly these people were socially. Fine. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't think it is an intentionally racist film. I just think it's skirting controversy, but that's the genre.
That's exploitation. That's the whole point of exploitation cinema.
And it's a Western, so who are your villains going to be?
Exactly. Exactly. In 1890s, Wild West America. You know what I mean? The Cave. Can we just take a moment to really, really appreciate how fucking intense it gets in this cave? Like, it's close. You know what I mean? Like, there are moments that sort of, they put me on close to uneasy, where I was just sort of like, holy shit, what did I just have put into my fucking eyeballs? 2 hours ago, I'm watching Limpy McGee and his wife fucking massage each other, tell each other how much they love each other. How have we got here? How have we got here from a nice walk through the desert to here?
Perversely, I was kind of not underwhelmed, but I think I'd prepared myself for Evil Dead 2013 because you said exploitation. So I was like, right, okay, this is going to be unpleasant.
Yes.
And unnecessarily unpleasant for a lot of it. So when we got to the cave, I think I was kind of prepped.
Okay.
But I can see if you want, this would be a keep you up at night. Like,
Buddy.
if you just thought you were watching, it's like, oh, it's a nice Western starring John Wayne, and no, it's starring John Wayne Gacy, and you are going to sleep.
Yes. That's fucking great. That's actually incredible. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Right there. That's it. That sums it up. That's perfect. Yeah. I can't believe that wasn't the tagline of this film. You're all idiots. I'm not going to spoil the ending. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I implore you to watch this film. Make up your own mind on it. It's a slow burn to begin with, but it's a very pleasant slow burn.
It is. But it's lovely. And it's so beautiful.
Then it breaks your fucking neck with how quick it goes. Like, it's just fucking, it's unreal. Just watch it. So I'm not going to go into it too much, but what I'm going to ask you is, Rob, what's your favorite death in this film?
Cheese String. I mean, without question, it's Cheese String. It's so good.
Magnificent death.
Deputy Cheese String is fantastic.
Deputy Cheese String.
I'm guessing your favourite moment is the same. No. Yours is the ambush. That's your favourite moment of the film, right? The whiplash moment.
Okay. You are incorrect. Not far off, because they're great scenes. They're incredible scenes. My favourite scene in this entire film is when Franklin Hunt and Chicory are in their cell. They're in the cave. They're in the cage.
Right.
Arthur's wife is in a separate cage. And you can tell that they've been there a little while. They've just watched Nick, Deputy Cheese String, get split in two.
Yeah.
And Franklin Hunt has had his fingers cut off for sort of fucking around with the bars, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is sitting there thinking,
they've resigned themselves to death.
We're about to die.
They've resigned themselves to death. And
this is my end, right?
Yes.
And Chicory, out of nowhere, starts talking about fucking flea circus that he went to with his deceased wife. She was alive at the time. I realized that the sentence made it sound like he just took a corpse to a flea circus. That's not it. He went to a flea circus with his wife in the past, since his wife has passed away, right? So he's sitting there and he's thinking, did you all see the Sullivan Brothers flea circus when it came into town?
Yeah.
And Franklin's like,
No, he marvels at this flea circus and how everyone was
goes
like,
into
it's fake. And he's
fake.
like, no, it was real.
Keep your voice down because the performers can hear you, or they might be able to, or unless they can understand kindness in a voice.
He sort of talks himself into going, well, everyone said it was fake, so it's probably fake, and then gets sad.
But I'm not sure whether it was fake or real or anything like this. And then Arthur's wife leans over and goes, Sullivan Brothers famously use real fleas, even though 99% of other flea circuses use mechanics. And she gives a little wink that only Franklin can see, but she has just made Chicory's fucking life. He's celebrating. He's like slapping his leg. He's like, I knew those fleas were real. I knew those fleas were real.
And it's a nice little moment of
I was in warmth. Bits. Are you joking? I was fucking bawling my eyes out. I watched it the first time through and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Second time round, buddy, I was like, oh! no, Chicory! I couldn't fucking hold it in. It's the sweetest thing, and everyone lets him have it and supports that moment. They're all very fucking aware they're going to die, but this beautiful little gem to grant Chicory his last little happiness. Fuck me. I was in bits. Like, how...
Yeah.
Deputy Cheese String to that. It's too much, man.